Welcome to the video tutorial on how to configure PageGate's TAP2ASCII module. In this tutorial, we'll be going over how to configure the TAP2ASCII module to receive TAP-formatted messages by serial or modem. TAP2ASCII is a companion module for the GetTAP interface and unlocks the ability to monitor additional serial/RS-232 ports or modems, up to as many as you may need. Messages received by this module are output to a directory as a text file that is then read in by the getASCII API. This module requires the getASCII API to function. The first step is to create a directory for the TAP2ASCII receiver. This can be any folder accessible to PageGate, whether on the local hard drive or by UNC path to a network resource. However, if PageGate will need to reference a network resource, the services relevant to these processes will need permission to access it. For more specific information, please see the Run Styles section of PageGate's documentation. I recommend creating a subdirectory of the PageGate data folder called TAP2ASCII X, where X is the number of the interface. By default, /PageGate data /TAP2ASCII1. After you purchase the TAP2ASCII module, you'll be sent a zip file containing the relevant files for the module, and you'll want to unzip the TAP2ASCII zip file into the folder you've just created. Next, open TAP2ASCII.ini in your preferred text editor, like Notepad or WordPad. To give you a little more information, this INI file controls the behavior of the TAP2ASCII receiver. Change runStyle=application to runStyle=service. Change switchStyle=false to switchStyle=true. Set data folder to the directory you created in step 1. By default, /PageGate data /TAP2ASCII1. Set COM port to the serial or modem port that should be monitored. Set COM settings to the communication parameters required. Values must be passed as baud rate, parity, data bits, stop bits. For example, this string would use 9600 baud, no parity, 8 data bits, and 1 stop bit. And this string would use 1200 baud, even parity, 7 data bits, and 1 stop bit. Set init string equals to direct for RS2 or serial connections. For example, you would set init string equals direct. Set init string to the appropriate AT command string to initialize your modem in answer mode for modems. For most modems, you can use ATS0=1 to tell the modem to answer after 1 ring. When finished, save the INI file and close your text editor. Next, open pininfo.txt in your preferred text editor, like Notepad or WordPad. This file tells TAP2ASCII what range of numbers can be accepted by the server as valid IDs. The format of the entries defined are as follows: starting pin, ending pin, recipient type. If you would like ID numbers in a range to be recognized as the recipient's name, not using an ad hoc recipient but using an actual static recipient list, you would use the text PG_recipient as the third value. For example, this would configure the TAP2ASCII module to accept any 4-digit numerical ID as a recipient name. If you would like ID numbers in a range to be passed through PageGate as intact IDs to another source in an ad hoc range, use the name of the recipient in PageGate whose type is set to ad hoc. For example, this would configure the TAP2ASCII module to accept any 7-digit ID as a free-form value to pass to the ad hoc recipient named ad hoc1. After declaring the appropriate ID ranges, save and close the file. Now that we've configured the TAP2ASCII module to receive messages, we'll need to create and start its Windows service. To do that, run a command prompt with elevated permission. To do so, go to your Start menu and search for the word Command. When Command Prompt comes up, right-click on it and select Run as Administrator. Next, change directory into the TAP2ASCII receiver's program directory. By default, /PageGate data /TAP2ASCII1. Type the following and hit Enter: TAP2ASCII1 space /install. Now open the services list in Windows and find the TAP2ASCII 1 service. Right-click on it and select Start. The final step is to configure the getASCII API to process the TAP2ASCII module's messages. In the PageGate admin, go to Interfaces, getASCII, Settings. If you already have a polling directory specified, you can skip this step. If you do not have a polling directory, we would recommend creating /pagegatedata/ASCII and using that as your polling directory. Next, go to Interfaces, getASCII, Settings, Advanced Polling, Files. Click Add. Specify the following. Leave the recipient as an asterisk. In the From field, you can leave this blank or specify a value that should be associated with all messages read in from this interface. In the Files section, use *.t2a. Set the path to the output folder you specified in the TAP2ASCII's INI file. By default, /pagegatedata/TAP2ASCII1. Set the file type to Standard. Click Apply, then click Apply again. At this point, the TAP2ASCII receiver is monitoring for your serial or modem messages, and the getASCII interface is configured to process the messages once they're received. This concludes the video tutorial on how to configure PageGate's TAP2ASCII module. For more information, including an overview of receiving the TAP protocol, please visit our website, www.notepage.net.